Hello, got a minute? We're about to unpack a list of books, some hidden gems, some not so much. Let's find out what the hype, or the hate, is all about.
Here comes Not What She Seems, and guess what? Ida Wilcox's hot take scored 158 likes. Let's read it. Jack got on my des times till at spirity nerves. Des times complete idiot. One idiot move after the other. I wanted to reach through the book and smack her. Costa. As for the writing style that got on my nerves as well, it reminded me of J.R.R. Tolkien in Lord of the Rings. Extremely too wordy for the liking. Through reading I was like, get to the point. The Starlik Overden Balati la Mereview, he had this ability to take an entire chapter to describe a tree. This was happening in this book more often than I liked. Thank goodness it was a digital book. I can quickly get past all those details that really didn't matter. Long-winded, and at times constantly repeating sentences. Drove me crazy. This story was also very predictable and very obvious who was behind all the craziness. This story didn't have to be 50 chapters long. My goodness. The mystery was no mystery at all, and there were too many storylines happening at the same time. Jack, Faith, the mum, the ex-boyfriend Nick, Daphne and the grandfather. All those storylines, they were really intertwined but just slightly touch on each other. Tamataman. I rolled my eyes so much through reading this book, I got a headache. Off to take an Advil.
What did readers really think about the last one at the wedding? Yun's comment, liked by over 555 people, might give us a clue. I can never resist a wedding thriller. Call me a romantic, but nothing sets my heart aflutter quite like the prospect of murder and mayhem on that special day. So I went into with high expectations. But unfortunately, it disappointed from pretty much beginning to end. Frank hasn't spoken to his daughter Maggie in 3 years. So when he gets a phone call from her, he's rightfully thrilled. And he's even more so when he hears that she's getting married and wants him to walk her down the aisle. But when Frank arrives at the 3-day wedding extravaganza, he starts to realize that all is not right. The story is told from Frank's perspective, and honestly, probably my biggest problem is that I just never connected with him. While I don't always have to love and be chummy with all my protagonists, I do have to understand them. And I just couldn't get there with Frank. His paranoia reaches the level of making my eyes roll with practically every thought and every sentence. Sure, it eventually turns out that his paranoia is justified, for how else would we even have a story? But it didn't make reading his perspective any easier or any more fun. But it's more than that. For some reason, Frank came off as extremely unlikable. Now a lot of authors write unlikable characters, and they have no bearing or may even add to my enjoyment of the story. But in this case, I have the uncomfortable feeling that Jason Rekulik may have accidentally made Frank unlikable, that he thought he was crafting a personable guy and instead created a weird and bumbling one. There were so many moments when Frank would make an observation in his head or open his mouth to say something, and I would just cringe so hard. Like he saw a couple where the man is old and the woman is young and called them unnatural. A freakish mutation of human biology. It felt so unnecessary and inappropriate, and I winced in embarrassment for him. And it was like this the whole way through. I tell you, it's hard to enjoy a story when you're wincing and cringing at the main character's every thought. I should have been focused on the thrills, but instead I was mired in secondhand embarrassment. But it wasn't just Frank. I felt like all the characters were slightly off, doing and saying things that no actual person would do and say in those situations. It's clear that each interaction was there to further a specific point in the plotline, and they were shoehorned in to achieve that, no matter how awkward the result may be. As for the twists, they were fine, although with the weird characterizations, it made it hard for me to really buy into them. It felt like characters were just randomly assigned roles in the reveal, and when the time came, their personalities were bent and changed to further that goal. So when we finally reached the end of the book, I understandably breathed a sigh of relief. But then I turned the page and there was a whole nother section left. I realize now that this is Rekulak's modus operandi. He likes to end his thrillers with a nice leisurely wrap-up, just to spell out in long form how everything works out for everyone, kind of like a HEA for thrillers. But there's a reason no one does them. I tolerated it because I loved that story so much, but here, it just made a mediocre tale feel even longer. tilde 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 tilde
Next up, House of Glass. Jamie dropped a comment that 295 people couldn't help but like. Let's see what she said. Evil isn't merely a word, it's a tangible, dimensional thing. Rose Barkley is a 9-year-old girl who suffers from traumatic mutism. She literally can no longer speak. It all started after she witnessed the possible murder of her nanny Tina in the midst of her parents' imminent divorce. Stella Hudson is a best interest attorney, appointed to serve as counsel for children in custody cases. She usually refuses to accept clients under the age of 13 due to her own traumatic childhood. But since she also suffered from traumatic mutism as a child, she seems best suited to find a way to reach Rose. Her job will be to determine which parent is better suited to be awarded full custody. But that won't be the only challenge. Certain details surrounding Tina's fall lead the police to have doubts about it being an accident, and although they have been unable to build a case against anyone, everyone remains a suspect. Beth Barkley, Rose's mom. Ian Barkley, Rose's dad. Harriet, Rose's grandmother, and even Rose herself. The Barkleys have removed all of the glass in the home after Rose started collecting sharp objects. And Stella has discovered that this strangely formal, extremely intelligent little girl is hiding The Stranger Beside Me, a book about the serial killer, Ted Bundy, within the covers of Anne of Green Gables. Why are the Barkleys so hesitant to allow Stella to spend time alone with Rosé? Fear takes many forms. It's a great motivator and a powerful deterrent. I really enjoyed this book from the very first pages. The author created a sinister, disturbing atmosphere and a child you will feel leery of. It's a more linear mystery which doesn't rely on crazy twists, instead revealing its surprises as we become further invested. I prefer more plausible stories, and a chance to get to know the characters, so it worked well for my tastes. I am always thrilled when I find a book with an original plot in a genre filled with tired, repeated tropes. I was satisfied with most of the resolution, and even got teary-eyed at one point, but felt that one small aspect felt forced and contrived. -0.5 for that. That brings me to 4.5 rounded up. It seems that Sarah Pekkanen will make my favorites list 2 years in a row. I have also enjoyed her collaborations with Greer Hendricks. A buddy read with Deanne, Marilyn W. and Mary Beth. Be sure to read their reviews for additional insight. Available now. Thank you to St. Martin's Press for the gifted ARC provided through NetGalley. It was my pleasure to offer a candid review. Let's move forward with the return of Ellie Black. Val Anchor Shameless Handmaiden Anchor's review attracted 327 likes. Here's what she wrote. I enjoyed this and I actually read it in one sitting. The writing was good. The pacing was good. And I liked the multiple POVs. However, I thought the twisty elements toward the end were lame. There were some eye-rolling moments on my part, for sure.
Next up, The Heiress. Nilufar Osmikic dropped a comment that 664 people couldn't help but like. Let's see what she said. Oh my goodness. This book is a brilliantly smart and extremely addictive read that you won't be able to put down. With unexpected twists and heart-throbbing pacing, it draws you into a captivating mystery set within the claustrophobic Ashby house. The secrets hidden behind its closed doors, along with its notorious and heartless inhabitants, add to the intrigue. And let's not forget Ruby McTavish, also known as Lady Kilmore, whose unreliable, sarcastic, and intimidating personality seals the deal. I must admit, after reading the author's previous work, Wife Upstairs, I didn't enjoy their subsequent releases as much. However, with this ominous and engaging thriller, they have made a triumphant return. The story is filled with intertwined mysteries that fit together like puzzle pieces, making you want to read faster to uncover the big secrets. The narrative unfolds through 3 distinct points of view. First, there's Camden, an orphan boy who unexpectedly inherits a 9-figure fortune from the McTavish family. His decision to reject the family's money and sever ties with his living relatives may be scandalous or considered a foolish move. He moves to Colorado, becomes a teacher, lives in a small rental with his wife, and never looks back. That is until his cousin Ben, his childhood tormentor and a pretentious bully, contacts him after his father's death to deal with the family's problems. Our second point of view is Jules, Camden's beautiful and supportive wife. She finally sees a glimmer of hope when her husband decides to return to Ashby House. Having grown up in poverty and working a dead-end job at a museum, where she portrays historical figures by churning butter for tourists, Jules yearns for the wealth and lifestyle they deserve. The third perspective connects with readers through the letters left behind by Ruby McTavish, the infamous heiress and presumed husband killer. Ruby's 4 husbands mysteriously died under suspicious circumstances, but her family's money silenced any further investigations. The story introduces us to other estranged family members, including Cousin Ben, an estate lawyer who wears fake smiles and has unnaturally white teeth, and his sister Libby, a spoiled and cunning woman willing to go to great lengths to claim her share of the inheritance. We also meet great-aunt Nell, Ruby's resentful sister, who has harbored jealousy towards Ruby for years and doesn't hide her disdain for Camden's existence. Behind the closed doors of Ashby House, numerous secrets lurk. Is Ruby truly a cold-blooded killer? Or is she a miracle child who was kidnapped at the age of 3, only to be found living with another family who insisted she was their daughter? But these aren't the only secrets that will upend the delicate balance between family members. Each character hides larger truths that have the power to change their entire lives, including Camden and Jules, who may seem better than the McTavish clan but have their own skeletons in the closet. Expect the unexpected as you dive into this gripping read. It will keep you on your toes, and you'll find yourself wanting to devour it in one sitting, even if it means staying up all night. In my opinion, this is the author's best work yet. I would like to express my gratitude to NetGalley and St. Martin's Press for providing me with a digital reviewer copy of this brilliant read in exchange for my honest thoughts. Follow me on medium.com to read my articles about books, movies, streaming series, astrology.
Alright, let's check out The Night We Lost Him. Here's what Meredith, trying to catch up, said. Her comment got 350 likes. Is a mystery about 2 siblings investigating what happened to their father when he died unexpectedly. Nora isn't close with her stepbrother, Sam, so she is surprised when he shows up out of the blue with a request to travel to the site where their father, Liam, died. Their journey results in them exploring not only what happened to their father the night that he died but also causes them to dig into his past, unearthing a long-hidden secret. The timeline alternates from the present to the past. Nora narrates the present, and the past is shared through her father, Liam's, eyes. Nora, a quiet character, was relatable, and her grief in the end was palpable. Liam's chapters focus on a romance that felt underdeveloped and unconvincing to me. Liam's chapters add a confusing dynamic to the narrative. Overall, I didn't hate this one, I just didn't fully connect. I received a complimentary copy of this book from NetGalley and Simon Element in exchange for an honest review.
Moving on to Society of Lies, Clace shared her thoughts, and 473 people liked what she had to say. I am not gonna say much about this book, because I honestly have nothing much to say. I don't have anything to rant about loudly crying. It was a good concept and the idea was very well pitched. The cover and the blurb were solid, easy to lure anyone. However, there were some things that just did not work out. But before we get into it, let's see what did work out. The first half was well done. I was hooked, and I was intrigued, and I wanted to binge it. The mystery aspect and the back forth during the first half was really nice between the 2 POVs and 2 settings. The characters were fun to read about, and the unsettling feelings that revolved around them, plus the overall vibe was fun. The pacing overall was very slow. Despite being hooked during the first half, it took me a fair amount of time to get through it, and during the second half I lost it. I even skimmed a bit. Story started to lose itself in the second half. Everything got so messy with execution, and the thing just lost their charm, which overall dulled my experience. The characters and their back and forth with the settings proved to be more of an hindrance. I tried to like Naomi and Maya, but all the attachment that I felt to them and the story vanished into thin air. Overall, it may work for some of you, but it definitely was not for me, or at least the second half was. I do believe that this author can do better, and I may read more of her books in the future. It wasn't a bad book, it was just very messy. Tundler, Puckery Tundler, Tundler, Heltingskeller, Tundler, Tundler, Heltingskenler, Kundler Sefwologistie Proosted Kundler, Nundler Hallegring. Undler, Posted Mayer, Heltingskenler. Undler Sefwologistie Pries Sefer. Intrudi Wichigwit. I need a good thriller, mystery book.
Alright, let's check out Middle of the Night. Here's what Sydney Books said. Her comment got 741 likes, 3.5 asterisk rounded up. I definitely enjoyed this, but I didn't love it as much as I'd hoped to. This one felt like a pretty solid middle-of-the-road thriller to me. Not terrible, not great. I thought it had potential to be amazing, especially in the beginning. I was loving where I thought it was going, but it just didn't have me in the same chokehold as some of his others. I still recommend it, though. It's got great 90s nostalgia sprinkled in, and an unpredictable twist for sure. Good for a summer popcorn thriller.
Next up is Darling Girls. Here's what Destiny Sidwell had to say. Her comment got 1256 likes. Let's call this a fiction with a mysterious plot. Nothing thrilling or even super mysterious about this book. The plot was interesting, which is what kept me reading, but I was more interested in what was going on in the characters' lives. vs. the entire mystery of the story, and maybe that is the point. But when calling a book a mystery thriller, I guess I expect it to be a little more thrilling and mysterious. Also the entire moment at the end. Nope?
Time for Home is Where the Bodies Are. Let's see why Geneva Rose's comment, with 1538 likes, stood out. With publication day for Home is Where the Bodies Are fast approaching, I wanted to share a little insight on some of the heavy topics in this novel. Although this is a fictional story, it's a deeply personal one for me, as I was able to write about things I've personally dealt with in my life, through the characters of Beth, Nicole, and Michael. Addiction, death, and grief are heavy themes in this book, and they've also been themes in my personal life for a long time now. It was cathartic to write Beth, for I have felt like Beth when it comes to dealing with a person suffering from addiction. Through her, I was able to express a fraction of the emotional toll it's taken on me, while also allowing myself a little grace for the guilt I endure in still having been unsuccessful in helping them to recover. It was also cathartic to write Nicole, to put myself in the shoes of said person with some of their insights guiding me and giving me a glimpse at life from their point of view. I'm grateful for having the opportunity to write this book, and I thank you for reading it.
Curious about how to solve your own murder? Let's hear from Yoon. Her opinion earned 1054 likes for a reason. Sometimes when the premise is really good, maybe there's just nowhere better for the story to go. When Frances was a teenager, she receives a bone-chilling fortune that she'll be murdered one day. She then spends the rest of her life trying to prevent it. But lo and behold, 60 years later, murder comes for her. Now it's up to her great-niece Annie to find the killer and earn her inheritance. You have to admit, that's a pretty darn interesting premise. And the title certainly plays it up. In fact, I think this might just be one of the most eye-catching titles I've ever come across. So of course straight to the top of my TBR pile it goes. I couldn't wait to dig in. Talk call semifekau. And initially, I was hooked. I just love all the possibilities when you're starting a new mystery. Especially here because Annie is also looking into the disappearance of Frances's best friend Emily, so we're really getting a twofer for the price of one. The story's certainly not shy about casting suspicions this way, then that way. There's an interesting list of characters, all of whom could be friend or foe. It was a delightful start in the way that only cozy mysteries can be, but then slowly and surely, I started becoming less excited. For one thing, when it came to the characters and the way they interact, there's something a little off about it all. It was stilted and contrived, as if every character was playing a part and knew it. The dialogue lacks that natural volleying back and forth that's essential to being authentic, often leaving me feeling like I'm just reading a bunch of non sequiturs. It's as if the author wanted certain results from each scene and kind of forced the dialogue and interactions to achieve it. The other thing is that I had a lot of trouble keeping all the characters straight. We have two timelines, and some characters appear in one, and some in both. But since Annie isn't a direct descendant of Frances but rather her great-niece, I started losing track of all the different branches of the family tree, and everyone's spouses and children, along with their relationships to each other. It was really confusing. As for the mystery itself, honestly, that fell short for me too. I'm not expecting Agatha Christie. Really, no one can reach the Great Dame. But when a book compares itself to Tarkaskarkaskarkas and Suck, I have certain expectations. And this didn't really meet that, not even close. It feels like there were all these clues and then they just didn't really go anywhere.
And the final solution didn't wow me so much as leave me vaguely puzzled, and I'm still not sure I understood how it all went down. It's never good when a mystery ends in puzzlement rather than amazement. No doubt cozy mystery aficionados will find this a worthy read, but for everyone else the jury's still out. Tilde 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 Prever Maye.
Let's move forward with the mystery guest. Nilüfer Özmekik's review attracted 449 likes. Here's what she wrote. Well, I didn't expect Molly the maid to make a return, but as a devoted fan of the character, I welcomed her with open arms to delve into her latest whodunit adventure. I must honestly admit that this book leans more towards providing us with a cozy mystery vibe, and the dark comedy and intelligent twisty mystery elements are somewhat diminished in this story. However, on the positive side, we are treated to more glimpses of Molly's childhood, offering us a closer look at her relationship with her grandmother, the reasons behind these women choosing to become maids, and the absence of other family members in Molly's life. In this installment, we witness Molly's remarkable ability to notice invisible details that escape everyone else's notice. Her detective skills continue to sharpen without conscious effort, helping her solve the mysteries she encounters. It's truly gratifying to see her rise to the position of head maid, assembling her own team, which includes the introverted Lily, a young woman she takes under her wing, recognizing a bit of her old self in her. Molly is stronger than ever, echoing her grandmother's wisdom, happily involved with Juan, and forging a friendship with the hotel's beloved doorman, Mr. Preston. Life seems to be settling down after the scandalous murder investigation at the Regency Grand Hotel. After all, lightning doesn't strike twice in the same place, does it? Unfortunately, it does. The renowned mystery author J.D. Grimpthor decides to hold a life-altering press conference at the famous tea room of the hotel. However, the course of his life takes an unexpected turn when he suddenly drops dead after sipping his honey tea, possibly served by the new maid, Lily. His demise unfolds in front of his devoted fan base known as Lamb and a swarm of paparazzi who cause more chaos than the author's missing cue cards, which could reveal the secret topic of his announcement. The murder weapon that might explain how the author was poisoned has also vanished. Unfortunately, the assigned detective on the case is none other than Miss Stark, the same woman who once tried to wrongfully put Molly behind bars. This time, she's determined to see her mission through. Fortunately, she remains unaware of the connection between Molly and the deceased. Yes, Molly has a secret. She had met the author as a child and possesses knowledge that could create a media frenzy if inadvertently revealed. Now, she must uncover the truth before Lily or anyone she cares about gets wrongly accused. Thankfully, Molly's keen eye for detail puts her a few steps ahead of the detectives. Overall, the implication that Molly may join the ranks of crime-solving intrigued me. I never say no to Molly's detective adventures. Although this installment may not be as sharp and entertaining as the first book, it remains an easy-to-read, riveting, and intriguing story that I highly recommend. Many thanks to NetGalley and Random House Publishing Group /Ballantine for providing me with a digital review copy of this fantastic book in exchange for my honest opinions. Let's take a look at We Solve Murders. Nilüfer Özmekik's comment, which got 604 likes, might give us a clue why it stood out. OMG. Osman has brought back the big guns and released a brand new addictive series that I highly enjoyed. At first I had slight doubts if I could love it as much as the Thursday Murder Club series, but my prayers were answered, and yes, I absolutely adored this new book and its new characters. Steve Wheeler, a retired cop, local investigator, pub quiz and puzzle expert, pint lover, stray cat cuddler, and a man still grieving his wife Debbie as he talks to her about his day. He also has a unique bond with his daughter-in-law, Amy Wheeler. Amy Wheeler works in private security as an experienced bodyguard, protecting highly important people. She is calm, calculating, motivated by adrenaline rushes, and always keeps her emotions at bay. Interestingly, she has a successful marriage with her husband, despite rarely seeing each other, and has a closer relationship with her father-in-law than with his son, talking to him every day. What if fate brings them together, to unite their powers and skills, to outsmart a very dangerous man named Francois Loubet? Disguising himself behind emails written in a British gentleman's tone, Liu Bei is a powerful money smuggler who uses micro-influencers for fake advertisement jobs to carry his money across oceans, aided by a smokescreen agent company whose owner is oblivious to the scheme. Liu Bei targets influencers protected by Maximum Impact Solutions, where Amy works. Coincidentally, an influencer is found dead each time they unknowingly smuggle money near Amy while she is protecting another client. Amy's latest job is protecting the second most popular eccentric thriller author. Lee Child is still number one, Rosie D'Antonio, who might be in her 80s. Her age is still unknown, but she has the spirit of a 20-year-old. Rosie included a character in her latest book clearly based on Russian chemical oligarch Vasily Karpin, making her a target and forcing her to hide on her private island in South Carolina with Amy and former Navy SEAL Kevin, who also serves as their private chef. When another influencer, Andrew Fairbanks, is found dead on a yacht near their location, Amy realizes it's no coincidence that each time she is assigned to a client, someone nearby gets killed. Could someone be trying to frame her for the murders and ultimately target her to finish the job? When she gets attacked by an unexpected person, she realizes there's a target on her back. She must escape, dragging Rosie with her, who is delighted to have a heart-throbbing adventure as hitmen chase after them. To protect Rosie and herself, Amy needs someone she can fully trust. Her father-in-law Steve is the only man who fits the description. Initially, Steve has no intention of leaving his house, missing the pub quiz, or chatting with his friends over a few pints. And who would take care of his cat Trouble? But when duty calls and his daughter-in-law's life is at stake, he must push himself out of his comfort zone, finding himself in a whirlwind adventure, traveling on private jets, experiencing gourmet food, getting drunk with the mischievous thriller author, vomiting all over the Dublin countryside before helicoptering, shooting at hitmen, befriending new people, and having the time of his life. Would Steve's wits and Amy's skills outsmart the army of men sent by François Liu Bei? And will they be able to identify who he really is, as anyone in their close circle could be working for him? The clock is ticking. The evidence against Amy piles up. They have to find this mysterious man before he beats them in their own game. Overall, I had an amazing time and laughed so hard. Rosie D'Antonio is a legendary character who stole the chapters and made me guffaw several times. I even fell off the couch, laughing so hard my stomach hurt. I wish there were more books, and I could read them for weeks. It is a true mood healer. I cannot wait to read more adventures of this team. I am looking forward to catching up on more We Solve Murders Agency's adventures. Many thanks to NetGalley and Penguin Group Viking/Pamela Dorman Books for sharing this amazing Cozy Mysteries digital reviewer copy with me in exchange for my honest thoughts. And thank you so much to Richard Osman for introducing these amazing characters and writing this fabulous book.
We now turn to the teacher, Cindy, Leave Metamy Books, whose comment garnered 4,351 likes, shared the following opinion. I've enjoyed previous books by McFadden. Never Lie, The Inmate, The Locked Door. So despite really disliking several of her recent books, The Co-Worker, Ward D. I still really wanted to read The Teacher. This one felt more like her earlier books in a way I enjoyed. Mainly that it was super fast-paced and full of characters to dislike, so despite some serious misgivings along the way, I still had it clicking along at a pleasantly surprising 2 or 3 stars in my head. But then the epilogue happened. I always expect a McTwist or 12, and of course won't write a spoiler here, but feel free to scroll down if you want them. But that last twist was completely fucking unacceptable on many levels. Asterisk thanks to Poisoned Pen Press for the NetGalley review copy. The Teacher publishes February 6, 2024. Scroll way down for a full book recap that is very full of spoilers. Please note, if you do not want to read a recap or any spoilers, do not scroll down. Also, do not read the comments because some of the comments have spoilery bits as well. : colon dot, 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 colon dot. Keep scrolling for spoilers. Colon dot, 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 colon dot. Spoilers are coming. Colon dot, 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 colon dot. Spoilers ahead. And again, for the kids in the back, there is a full book recap behind the spoiler tag. So if you don't want to read spoilers, stop scrolling. And don't click the spoiler tag, and don't read the comments. Colon dot, 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 colon dot. Last charts there is a full book recap with spoilers ahead. Colon dot, 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 colon dot.
The Boyfriend is next, and Laura Love's readings got a lot of love. 1770 likes, to be exact. Curious? Let's hear it. Okay, let's go. Ms. McFadden has come out with her of this year with The Teens. In this book, we are following dimwit Sydney, who just wants to find Mr. Right and settle down. She goes on a date with a guy she's been speaking to on a dating website and realizes she has been catfished when he turns out to be a creepy little sod. When said sod starts behaving aggressively towards Sydney, she is rescued by a charming mystery man and thinks she has finally found her match. Is Sydney about to get her happily ever after? Unamused face, with rolling eyes, face with rolling eyes, face with rolling eyes. Our main character Sydney is one of the most idiotic characters I have had to suffer reading through. The boys in Dumb and Dumber don't even come close to just how stupid Sydney is. So because we are going through this story in her narrative, we have to ignore the obvious and go round and round in mundane circles. In Sydney's eyes, every red flag was frankly beige. Sydney and co are all caricature characters. There is not a single character development. and we don't get to know anything else about them than what we barely already know. I had to stomach through the first 50% of the book with Freda talking about the most pointless things, such as, the book is told in dual POVs, with Sydney and a guy named Tom. Tom's storyline is told in the past when he was 16 years old. He has a crush on a girl named Daisy Driscoll, who he really wants to be with, but he also wants to squeeze the life out of her, because you know he has a fetish for harming people and seeing blood. Oh, and he really hates his dad, Micton. Unamused. Anyway, the story only really picks up after the 50% mark. But don't get too excited, because we still have deal with Sydney's annoying ass and moronic inner thoughts. In true Freda fashion, her mind games are activated, and I must admit that I did not see the big plot twist coming, but all the other ones were painfully obvious. Speaking of the major plot twist, it is very, very core and dumb, and of course with any Freda book, suspension of disbelief is obvious. The ending was so dense and dull, I had to fling my Kindle, put myself in a corner, and have a serious word with myself as to why I keep letting Freda do this to me. Then the epilogue, unfortunately, is not a winner for me, but I will say it was more palatable than the... My main issue is that nothing and no one's actions made sense. Consequences and common sense was not a factor in this book. Extreme things would happen and then just be swept under the rug. Besides the Sesa, the book was very mild and produced more eye rolls than I can possibly count. For a quick mindless read/listen and to laugh at the brainlessness of a bunch of characters, then you can give this book a go. Freda, I will keep hoping and praying that we will get back to how we once were. Wafa. I will see you in 2025 for Fa. Loudly crying. 2.5 star. I'll be crying. Star operator degree. ITSSSSSTIIIIIIMEEEEEEEEE. Starstruck. The devil works hard, but Freda McFadden works harder. Fingers crossed. This one delivers crossed fingers. Medium dark skin tone. White heart. White heart.
Our next book is A Nilufer Osmakik, whose comment was liked by 1069 readers, had this to say. Alright, I have a confession to make. When I first started reading this highly anticipated thriller from the brilliant author Lucy Foley, known for her mastery of multi-POV narratives, it took me a little time to get into the story. Initially, I shrugged it off, thinking it might be a slow burn. But let's look at the bright side. It doesn't have as many characters as Guest List, so I figured I could quickly grasp the main story around the mysterious victim's identity by navigating between timelines and narratives. However, a few chapters in, my opinion completely changed, especially with the inclusion of the diary entries. Suddenly, I found myself extremely hooked, turning the pages faster. The last third of the book blew my mind. The words seemed to possess me as the adrenaline pumped through my veins. The several twists took me by surprise, and the puzzle-style climax had me jumping in my seat. And of course, the ending was amazing. Interestingly, it reminded me of the ending of True Detective Night County. The incorporation of folklore, particularly the legend of the birds, perfectly blended into the main mystery, where locals fight for justice against the invasion of the polished, filthy rich Zenith community, with touches reminiscent of Hitchcock's classic film The Birds. Until I read this, I thought Guest List was my favorite work by the author, but this book has dethroned it and become my all-time favorite. From its cynical portrayal of the ultra-rich, to its sarcastic critique of class differences, and the locals' fight for what they deserve, to the mind games surrounding the identities of victims and perpetrators, this book offers a uniquely immersive reading experience. The story centers around the manor, an ultra-luxurious estate nestled in woodland hutches, designed to provide a peaceful escape for its privileged guests. Owned by Francesca Woodland, who hides dark secrets beneath a facade of priestess-like purity, the manor is set to host a memorable summer solstice feast. Her younger husband, aspiring architect Owen, might be enchanted by her dreamy facade and the illusion she's created about her persona, as he shares his own dark secrets about his past that could threaten their shared future. However, Francesca's plans are disrupted by a mystery guest from her past, Bella, who is determined to confront the tragedy she has endured for 15 years. Meanwhile, 19-year-old kitchen helper Eddie finds himself caught between the locals seeking retribution against the manor's guests and his dedication to his new job, all while dealing with his dysfunctional family. As the narrative shifts back to the day after the solstice, we meet D.I. Walker, a specialist in cold cases, who investigates the tragic events that occurred at the manor during the solstice celebration. Deaths, terrorized guests, and a burning manor lead to a myriad of questions. What happened on the solstice? Who perished? Who is responsible? How did the fire start? Readers are tasked with collecting the pieces of the puzzle to solve the mystery. But nothing is as it seems, and Lucy Foyle's cunning storytelling is sure to keep you on your toes. Overall, this is undoubtedly my favorite book by the author, and it has the potential to be one of the standout thrillers of the year. Highly, absolutely, extremely recommended. Many thanks to NetGalley and William Morrow for providing me with a digital review copy of this amazing thriller. Follow me on medium.com to read my articles about books, movies, streaming series, astrology.
First lie wins stirred some reactions. Rachel Haynes's comment, which got 1846 likes, might just explain why. Here I am again on Outlier Island, Desert Island. I went into this book with extremely high expectations after seeing all the raving reviews, with the majority of them being 5 stars. But once again, I am left completely underwhelmed and wondering what I missed. I think this book is way overhyped, and people are falling into the hype, unfortunately. In fact, for the first time ever, I'm at a loss for words, as I'm not even sure how to review this book. I mean, what did I just read? Was this a secret agent, undercover spy novel? Detective? Was this a woman running from her past? Was this about falling in love while finding yourself? I'm so confused. All I know is that what started off as a strong book with a few great twists in the beginning, it soon went downhill with some over-the-top moments that were so unbelievable and unbearable to read. If this was a television show, I would have changed the channel with a quickness. And what I found absolutely implausible about this story was the fact that no matter what job assignment Evie was assigned to, her friend Devon was able to assist her. No problems ever came about there. That was so outlandish, I had to roll my eyes at every section that he occurred. Just wondering if anyone else found that odd. Thinking face. Please read others' reviews before deciding whether or not to read this book, as I seem to be quite alone in my opinion. Also keep in mind that this is a Reese Witherspoon Book Club pick for January 2024, which is very popular. I also chose this book for my BOTM pick for January 2024. 2.5 stars rounding down.
We now turn to the God of the Woods. Yun, whose comment garnered 3,542 likes, shared the following opinion. Okay, lots of thoughts on this one. Going to try to unpack them all here. Comment starts out really well. I found the beginning to be compelling. Comment you that comment pulse with lots of interesting characters and perspectives. But then as the investigation into Barbara's disappearance heats up, a few things started to really bother me, and it went a bit downhill from there. When it comes to verbosity in a book, readers generally fall into 2 camps. For some, if they love a story, then stretching it out an extra 100 pages by filling it with lots of beautiful writing, but no additional content makes it even better. But for me, my motto is always shorter is better, and fluffing it out to pad the page count doesn't do it for me, so you see where I'm going with this. Bevan. What starts out as compelling quickly turns meandering for me. The longer the story went on, the more unfocused it seemed. There are a lot of perspectives in here. I count 7, and every time something was about to happen, we immediately switched to a different perspective, effectively losing the momentum. And when we come back to the original one, the exciting scene had already happened off-page and it's mostly glossed over. But it isn't just the perspectives, which I honestly don't mind that much. It's also how unnecessarily convoluted the mystery was, in large part due to the way it was written. Every time the police needed to talk to a witness, that person would inevitably end up missing. So we would have to spend time tracking them down, just to have a conversation with them. In addition to the 2 disappearances which are central to this story, I counted no less than 6 other characters who disappeared at one time or another. It was exhausting. Surely though, once these witnesses are found, they would be able to answer some simple questions, right? Well, no. Everyone in here lied every chance they had, often for no reason that I could discern, and against their best interests. It felt like drama for drama's sake, making the mystery feel even more tortuous and chaotic. You know, just in case the reader thought it was too easy, or there weren't enough pages in this book.
My other big issue is that the author has a real knack for writing dumb female characters. It drove me a bit nuts in Testan. And here it is again. This time we have Alice and Louise, two of our main characters, both being portrayed as spineless fools. You guys know I love my female characters to be strong and smart, so to have to read about women who let people walk all over them, while making one bad decision after another, got old real quick. Then after all of that, almost 500 pages. This mystery had to be one of the most unsatisfying I've ever come across. Clues were laid out seemingly to point to one direction or another, but then the story disregards almost everything it had said before, and ends on something completely different. And some of the clues were never addressed at all, as if they've served their purpose to mislead us and now we can just forget about them. Still, for all my complaints, I did find this to be a fairly engrossing read. There were many moments I got really into it, and the pages just melted away. But there were also many moments where I could not believe yet another character has disappeared, or Alice and Louise are yet again being dumb and weak, and I could just feel my eyeballs rolling around in exasperation. Clearly I'm in the minority here. Everyone else is loving this, so you shouldn't take what I say too seriously. Sometimes there is just a mismatch between a reader and a book, and that's probably what happened here. Tilde 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 tildes. Tilde 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 tildes. I vertree 710 schappen. Komsis 760. Tijsti fine beepel offety. Komsis die 5. Komsis die 5 kundragi.
Time for Listen for the Lie. Let's see why Yun's comment, with 1460 likes, stood out. Oh yes, I do enjoy a humorous thriller. Thank you very much. When it comes to this genre, it often feels like it's a race to see who's got the darkest, grittiest, most nail-biting, anxiety-inducing story. And that's all good and fine. But I don't always want dark, darker, darkest. Sometimes I just want a bit of fun, and She Auntie is exactly that. Most melon. From the very first page, this was unputdownable. The format of alternating between Lucy and the podcast, and having each chapter be nice and short, kept me turning the pages, wanting to read just one more page. The podcast transcripts were surprisingly engaging, with every character dishing on every other character and stirring up small-town drama. I was worried this would turn out to be another one of those dreaded, unreliable narrator situations, where the main female character drinks to excess and indulges in woe-is-me pity parties. But thankfully it wasn't. Instead, Lucy's voice is so fresh and wickedly honest. She's often sarcastic and funny, and it sets the tone for an extremely entertaining read. As for the actual mystery itself, my feelings are a bit mixed. On the one hand, this story certainly doesn't scrimp on the twists and turns just because it's humorous. We are directed one way, then another. You never know what's going to happen next, and that's always great fun. I suspect there are enough surprises here to satisfy even the most seasoned of thriller junkies. But on the other hand, calling this a, quote, world-class whodunit, I'm looking at you, Stephen King, is taking it a step too far. As is typical of modern thrillers, there aren't really clues. You find out each twist as the book reveals it to you, often via the podcast interviews. Apparently, and I must try this in real life, you just need to badger people with enough questions and they'll tell you all their secrets. And eventually, Lucy remembers the whole thing, and that's the denouement. It did feel a bit anticlimactic after all that build-up. Jersey. Small quibble aside, I thoroughly enjoyed this. It's always a great delight to find a book that keeps you up past your bedtime, and even though you know you're going to pay for it the next day, you just don't care. Tilde 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 tilde.
Time for all the colors of the dark. Let's see why Rosh tilde catching up slowly tilde's comment. With 1827 likes. Stood out. A literary saga spanning multiple genres and decades. It's not just the story of a tragedy but also of what happens after a tragedy. Will work better if you know what to expect. It isn't a traditional mystery thriller. So better if read as a slew character-driven drama. tilde 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 tilde. Imagine this. You are visiting a tourist place that you have heard some good feedback about. You hire a tourist guide who promises to take you to your destination. But instead of leading you there directly, the guide makes you roam around myriad other places, telling you detailed stories of each of them. Most of his tales are interesting. But after a point, you wonder why he is traversing a circuitous route when all you wanted to go to was the destination promised at the start. Finally, after a long and somewhat frustrating journey, you reach your destination, and it turns out to be everything you hoped for. But as much as the joy of discovery is, you can't help having mixed feelings about the rest of the day. Yes, you gained insight about many other spots, but you also feel a bit irked at the amount of time it took to visit what wasn't even on the agenda. It's not like you didn't enjoy the unplanned circumambulatory route full of surprises, but you wish you had been better prepared for it beforehand. That's me with this book. I was prepared for a mystery thriller, but I got a slow-paced literary fiction. While I can often recalibrate my reading sensor according to the writing approach, it failed this time. Smiling face the main characters. Saint and Patch. Well sketched. Complex. Gray. Human. Smiling face Patches being one-eyed, and this trait being turned into an intricate part of his persona than making it a disability. Popping in at random intervals. Smiling face an excellent start and a great ending. Smiling face evocative writing, with plenty of quotable quotes and lines to ponder upon. Smiling face superb use of the mountain setting of small-town Missouri, with great descriptions that don't overshadow the plot. Smiling face an unusual approach to a mystery, focusing on myriad obsessions of varied characters. This could also be called a love story sans romance. Smiling face enough of twists and turns to keep you going on. You will not be able to predict the direction of most of the plot. Smiling face though there are many crimes that occur in the book, the content never gets graphic. Love it when authors don't let gore do the talking. Deadpan face as this is tagged as a mystery thriller. I went in hoping for a steady-paced, thrill-inducing mystery. But while there is a mystery in the book, it is not the prime focus of the plot, which is quite character-oriented, and stresses more on the lives of the people affected by the crime than on the crime itself. This definitely would have worked better for me had I been mentally prepared for a literary drama than for a crime thriller. Deadpan face the middle chunk of the book drags a lot. Had I been a willing defer, I might have even quit on the book at this point. But thankfully I didn't, as the ending was worth the wait. Either the middle section should have been tightened or this should have been marked as a character-driven literary work so that readers would know what to expect. Deadpan face there are many side plots detracting from the core mystery. While these are intricately layered and well written, the fact is that I wanted to see the mystery resolved than to know more about other irrelevant things. Confused face the story spans decades, though there are years marked at the start of a few chapters. It is confusing at times to remember how old the characters are at that point. There are pop culture references to help out, but these would work only if you know the approximate period to which the references belonged. Confused face this book has 261 short chapters, with some of the chapters being hardly a couple of pages long. I know there are readers who like short chapters, but this was too many for my liking. Confused face the pacing is quite erratic, going from rushed at the start to almost zero in between, to fast again at the end. In a 580-plus page book, I'd have appreciated a more consistent tempo. My reading experience of this novel reminded me of how I felt on reading yet another magnum opus that begins with a mystery but takes ages to be resolved. In both cases, I liked the journey, but I was more relieved than exhilarated to reach the end. This is my first book by this acclaimed author, so I shall be better prepared for a literary approach the next time I pick up his work. Mine is a slight outlier review. Most other reviews of this book are gushy 5 stars. So perhaps it was only my erroneous expectations courtesy that dratted thriller tag that caused my experience to go awry. I still recommend this strongly. But to literary fiction lovers who enjoy the artistic nuances of storytelling and character development, if you want a fast-paced mystery thriller, pick something else. 3.5 stars. My thanks to Crown Publishing and NetGalley for the DRC of All the Colors of the Dark. This review is voluntary and contains my honest opinion about the book. Tilde 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 tilde. Connect with me through pipe 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 pipe